It used to be the case that Donald Trump and his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and others in this administration said they wanted to get to the bottom of this. They have well described, I think, all the inappropriate actions that have been taken by the Justice Department, including recently with respect to the Deputy Attorney General, who had been Donald Trump's personal lawyer, conducting the secret interview with the Epstein associate Maxwell. And this is an important conversation to continue here on the Senate floor. We were here earlier this morning where we discussed the very, very troubling and disturbing case of Jeffrey Epstein and the horrifying abuse of young women and girls. Those who were so terribly abused and treated deserve to have the full truth. They deserve to have all the facts come out, as do their loved ones, as do the American people, so the American people can have some kind of confidence that the Department of Justice is presenting the American people with the truth, because we need transparency in order to ensure full accountability. It used to be the case that Donald Trump and his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and others in this administration said they wanted to get to the bottom of it. In fact, they said they wanted to release the Epstein files. But as we got closer to actually doing that, they suddenly decided that they did not want the public to know and that they didn't want Epstein's victims to know. And so now they've decided not to be forthcoming. The obvious question is, what are they hiding? And that is why we took to the floor earlier today to say, release the damn Epstein files. We've learned just in the last 48 hours that at some point along the way, the FBI redacted Trump's name from the Epstein files. We had learned that his name was very likely in those files, and we also know that the Trump administration asked the FBI to do a search of his name in the files. We now know that his name was redacted from those files at some point along the way by the FBI. As my colleagues from Rhode Island and California were just discussing, we've also witnessed in just the last week or two the highly inappropriate action of the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, to conduct a secret interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was Jeffrey Epstein's partner in these crimes. And when he was asked at his confirmation hearing before the Senate about whether he had a continuing duty of loyalty and confidentiality to Donald Trump, his response was yes. As the former personal attorney of Donald Trump, he had an ongoing duty of loyalty and confidentiality. Clearly, that duty of loyalty and confidentiality to Donald Trump puts him in direct conflict with the interests of the truth and the people of the United States when it comes to President Trump. So it was highly inappropriate that he held that interview. As a senator from California just pointed out, he excluded from that interview lawyers that had been working on this case for a long time. It is also a fact by at least many reports that he, Todd Blanche, has a very close personal relationship with the lawyer for Ms. Maxwell. And so this thing stinks to high heaven. And one thing they should do is immediately release the transcripts of this secret interview that was just conducted. Release the transcripts. According to all reports, they gave Ghislaine Maxwell immunity, proper immunity, for the purpose of her testimony. Nothing she said in that interview could be used against her. So release the interview transcript to the American people. Because Donald Trump's personal attorney should not be the one in the room conducting an interview with somebody who might have testimony that directly incriminates Donald Trump. We've also seen just in recent days the question floated about whether the President of the United States would pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. When President Trump was asked about that possibility, he acknowledged he had that power. As I said on this floor this morning, President Trump should immediately today announce that he will not use his pardon power to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year sentence for being a co-conspirator in the abuse of young women and girls. What is clearly happening in plain view is very dangerous to our system of justice. What is clearly happening is the possibility that Ghislaine Maxwell and her lawyers are seeking a pardon in exchange for her giving the kind of testimony that would please President Trump. One of the families of one of the victims, a family from Virginia, who lost their loved one to suicide in April, has said, President Trump, do not pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. And my understanding is that is clearly the sentiment of the other victims and their families. And so the president should today announce that he will never do that. Now, earlier this morning, Senator Merkley offered a resolution and asked unanimous consent on it to release the Epstein files. And we should do that immediately. That should be done immediately. Senator Durbin and I wrote to the Attorney General last week, urging her to do what she said she was going to do, which is release the files. But that was objected to on the Republican side. And I see Senator Barrasso on the floor, and when he objected to Senator Merkley this morning, this is what he said. He said, Senate Republicans included a provision to address this very issue